as Sharwyn finishes the ritual, stepping forward to you all. We have a few more moments to speak with this creature before we allow her to pass back on. I have my duty to try to track down some of the artifacts left behind in the destruction of Cornbahir, and perhaps you will assist me in tracking them further. So after a few moments of questioning, essentially what she seems to be asking the Banshee about is different things like what she knows about the location of this place. And what the Banshee ends up giving her information-wise is that she knows the general location, but actually would have been killed before this time that they speak of, where the cavern itself was destroyed and lost. So that's kind of like news to the Banshee. Again, basically that she died before the assault. I think it's some 400 years ago when the Wave Echo Cavern was assaulted by orcs and would have destroyed the entrances that were known to her. So you kind of just get confirmation about the general location of this place, that it is in the southwestern portion of the Sword Coast Mountains. She's able to share a few pieces of the puzzle in what Sharwyn is looking for is a font of power that the humans brought. There's both a magical conflux in the actual earth itself, where the weave is strong in that location, as well as the power of the humans who helped the dwarves in that place. It was a joint work of gnomish inventors, dwarvish smiths, and human mages who were creating the magical items, new magics, many different things that brought this specific location into its wealth and into its prominence. And that was part of what inspired the eventual raids on it by the orcs. Well, I guess realistically, the Banshee would be giving the information that it was their efforts that made this place wonderful. Sharwyn would fill in the dots that it was that must have caused the orcs to come and raid that. But Vinyana essentially will point you all towards her shrine, where she once worked as the High Mage and the Temple Guardian, the Shrine of Savaris, who was a divination goddess, basically working directly with Mistra. And it would be just a little bit southwest of where you all are now. Basically crossing over the Tribor Trail and then to the south of Coneyberry. And she basically gives up that while she died before this time that you all are speaking of, that is one of the places where the divinatory powers of Savaris will almost remain perpetually. And perhaps if you have questions that need answered, that's where you are going to have to go. And then after maybe 5-10 minutes of questioning, the Banshee would just sort of be staring off at you all, pleading for her freedom to be released back into her own domain, to return to her home. And kind of just looking at you all like before she's released by Sharwyn to see if there's anything else that's pled of her.
How will we recognize this shrine when we come to it?
The forest of the mountains has consumed that area. Mr. Savaris has protected it from the outskirts of the trees, and it has been defiled. You will see it. It has not fallen completely to the wild.
And will this Severus expect anything of us in return for answering our questions?
You are not likely to find her attending to you. You, if any of the priests of Severus ever met the goddess herself. But there is still strong divinatory powers in her shrine, and in the locations itself. But be wary. You will not likely be able to ask any and all questions that you desire.
Ansel, Ezra, think of any other questions?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, and that's a no from me too. Just release her, I think.
I'll leave that up to Sharwyn.
Well, the actual Sharwyn made it onto the token. Or the Sharwyn from Baldur's Gate.
Oh yeah, I have no problem collecting tokens. I usually just save really cool pictures and make tokens out of them. I don't think I ever found like an actual good Sharwyn though when I was searching for them. So the two join you as you leave this little dungeon. They free the Banshee, and she kind of dissipates into this magical circle. And you walk by the home. It still seems quite eerie, but there's a different level of awareness as you walk past her house, and somewhat gather that there's definitely a magic about that place, despite how consumed by the forest it seems to be. And you all would be about a half day's journey away from the Shrine of Severus. But essentially, I didn't really write down any time frame for the one shot as to keep it any level of continuity. But for what it is worth, we will have you all start off with a long rest so the two of you can be fresh as you go into this next scenario.
Great.
Okay. Yeah, I think you might have mentioned in the last game we had a long rest after, but or maybe we took a long rest after the fight with the ooze or something. I don't know.
I think we took a short one because I'm in rough shape.
Okay, maybe.
But I feel much better now.
Yeah, I don't often let long rests happen inside of dungeons.
Yeah, as soon as I said it, I was like, no, that actually doesn't really sound right.
Gotta keep yourself pretty well defended to be able to take a long rest when there's any level of hostility around you.
Yeah, maybe it's just that I don't know. I think I'm all healed up anyway, so. So Ezra, anything in particular about like your character's appearance we would note? I mean, Fanton's just a pretty straightforward, kind of grizzled mercenary fighter type. Got chainmail, longsword, shield, a couple hand axes.
Yeah, Ezra is basically. Let's see, so I'd say this right now. Well, he's. Well, let's say 5'4". He has fair skin, light brown hair, pretty long, not very well taken care of. It's not dirty, but it's like he doesn't really care about appearance. He has leather armor, a shield, a scimitar, and a staff. And well, I mean, he's pretty much, I would say, typical druid thing. But yeah, I'm tired.
And I'm human. I'm assuming, right? We're all still
Yeah.
human.
Oh, right. Sorry. Still human. Yes.
I mean, I guess I was pretty sure. I just wanted to double check, make sure. Yeah. Vanton's a human. He's probably about, I don't know, 6 feet. He kind of looks like his token, basically.
Yeah, I was going for the same with my token. Basically found the token and made the character based on his appearance.
You want to
Hansel's a
describe?
Hansel's a human ranger. Uh, he's not very distinguishing. We, like, maybe forget about him, I would think sometimes. He does not look like the picture on my D&D character sheet. Anyway, he looks a lot like Burke on his token. Am I going to lose my inspiration point for that description, Mara?
No, I think describing a gray man is a perfect way to describe a ranger. Rangers and rogues, I feel like more people need to understand, like a covert op, or not necessarily covert op, but like CIA style gray man.
Yeah, nondescript is what he's going for.
It's my way of life. So Sharwyn and Sir Bradford are probably both mid 30s ish, maybe looking a little rough for their late 20s. Each of them is well adorned in fine clothing. Sharwyn wears robes that it's kind of difficult to see her figure. She's draped in many layers of actual clothing. Sir Bradford would be kind of decked out in some pretty brilliant plate mail, as well as carrying a shield and a almost obsidian black longsword. So as you all kind of make your way through Coneyberry, you would see many different huts that seem to be kind of formed on old destroyed homes. Very few of them look like there's any level of like presently lived in. Probably more to the effect of it seems like people or some sort of humanoid stays in these semi regularly, but almost as if it's a traveling stop off point. And I think most of you all would be aware enough traveling in this region that Coneyberry is a defensible position, but it is centrally located. That if you were to try to stay there too often, you're almost guaranteeing that at some point some sort of nefarious creature is going to raid your camp. Um, and there's enough signs that there are orcs that are among those who would come through Coneyberry. So it's definitely hard going through there to distinguish whether the things that are staying in these huts are orcish, humanoid, or some other creatures entirely. And then eventually you all would cross over the Tribor Trail, making your way into the foothills of the mountain as you start to climb up. The actual tree coverage starts to get a little more like filled in. It's not the same as the deep forest of the Neverwinter Wood. There's not nearly as much brush, but there's still many ancient trees along that area until eventually they start to uh, give in to a clearing ahead of you. You all would see some ancient, seemingly destroyed stonework, the doors scattered to the ground, and you would see spikes having been placed into the ground uh, defensively prepared against this entryway ahead of you, about 60 or so feet. No doubt this is the shrine that Agatha was speaking of.
So
My
do we just
apologies.
get up?
I have multiple names for many different things. Agatha is the Banshee. Vinyana is her name. And one of the things about my world of magic, I don't think you all have quite come across yet, but using somebody's true name is an extremely powerful way to use magic against someone.
Okay, so Vinyana is her true name, and that is that. I guess that's how Sharwyn was able to keep her trapped temporarily.
Yeah, part of that magical circle was summoning her by her elvish name, whereas the actual Banshee itself is Agatha.
Okay. So I guess seeing these ruins, Vanton will turn to the others and be like, "Do you just head on in then?" He's not very subtle.
It is my duty to protect the Lady Sharwyn. You intend to head in. We will keep you protected, but I must first protect her, and she is not to fight on the front line.
Understood.
We should probably take a look and see if there's any. We get a view inside before we go in.
Ansel, do you want to cover me? I'll
Sure.
move up, try and get a look. Draw my shield out.
What are you thinking? How you want? Okay.
Do we see any signs of activity aside from so we see the spikes here? Do we see any signs of any actual, or see or hear any signs of actual activity coming from within the stone ruins themselves from this distance?
Insight check from you. You're aware enough that there's likely something here. You don't see any movement inside of this stonework or anything. So at present, you're not actually experiencing anything. But the Banshee's warning was to tell you that this place has been defiled.
So Vanton will turn to Ezra and Ansel like, I don't know what's here, but I don't think we're alone. So just be ready.
All right.
There's probably something in there. Who puts wooden spikes outside of their big stone shrine?
Yeah. I was thinking. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I was thinking, Ezra, if I could, can I see if there's any fresh tracks around the area to maybe see what kind of creatures are moving about around the place?
You can do a survival check. Seem to be humanoid footprints. As a quick, cursory kind of look around, there doesn't really seem to be signs of wildlife around this place. A pretty foreboding sign for you to come across, as most of the time, if there's not wildlife, it's because there's essentially predators in that area.
Yeah, I relay that information. There's no wildlife in this area. They seem to avoid this place.
Perhaps we should avoid a frontal approach. Maybe we should scout the perimeter.
I have terrible luck with my coffee on these. Just spilled my coffee again. My bad. I didn't mean to interrupt that. You're gonna do scouting the perimeter?
Yeah, I was done. That was kind of just that's Vanton's idea rather than go kind of straight through the past the spikes on this. Is this like an actual path leading up to this the stonework?
Yeah, I think you could pretty quickly identify that the dirt and ages seems to have kind of consumed what was once a flagstone path where there are interlocking stones kind of placed, and time, dirt, dust, and mud has sort of started to reclaim these things, but it's pretty clearly still keeping the vegetation off, but it's not. I don't like the idea of the dirt path of the map that I harvested. I like the idea that it is something that once belies a civilized people who upkept and took care of this place as it was a wonderful location in their lives, and time has started to kind of swallow it back into the forest.
Got it.
So I think I could stealth and go over and take a look to the right and see what we see. Does that make sense to you guys? Head out along the east on the way. I could draw a line.
I can't move particularly quietly, but if you want to, I may hold here if you want to try and scout or. I can do my best to keep my armor muffled.
Yeah, that's my idea. If you want to see how stealthy I am, Mara.
Already checked.
I'm hoping to get like a side view of the location by going along the woods that way.
So wait, how far did you just move that though?
Well, I moved it 60 feet, but it says that I moved it. Well, it seems like, are the boxes 5 or 10?
They're 5s. Yeah, but like keep in mind when you move stealthily, you're moving in half speed. So if you go 15 feet, that's a movement. If you go 30 feet, that's a movement and a dash.
Okay, so 15 feet, which is there.
And I would probably, while he's doing that, I would try and like maybe move off the kind of overgrown path towards the trees, sort of like a little less open area.
And so let me have you roll a perception check. So as you start to move off to the east, you see a orc standing atop this turret around this wall. Much of the wall is crumbled inside of your view, but this turret itself seems, as far as from your perspective, seems to be whole. There's an orc who seems to be raising a horn to his mouth, and you hear a trumpet call from atop this turret.
Guess I was not stealthy, huh?
You were less stealthy than he was perceptive, but he's also a lookout, so it's his job.
All right, I think everybody knows now that they know we're here. So I'm gonna pop back to these guys. I'm gonna dash back to these guys because I know I've been seen.
I'm guessing that trumpet's not a good sound, Ansel.
There's orcs, lots of them on the ramparts, and they noticed that we're here.
So I'm guessing we're gonna have company soon.
I think so. But we're not in initiative, so we can probably have a conversation about what we're going to do about that.
No, I should let Sharwyn and Bradford know. I assume they would have heard the trumpet call as well.
Yeah, they're not unaware. I think it's safe to say that you would see Sharwyn kind of surround herself as a gossamer cord almost is drawn around her body, and then this tiny dot of light just kind of flashes, and over her entire flesh you see a shimmer of bluish gold light kind of like flow over her body.
Okay, I think Vanton would try to see if there's any cover within these trees he can try and take. He's not sure if the orcs are going to come out and attack them but he can't do much from this range, so he's just trying to sort of kind of in a wait and see. Essentially taking I guess we're not in combat yet, so essentially just trying to find cover.
So what's everyone else doing? You're just kind of holding back at that entry point to like hold your ground?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
I'm knocking an arrow and considering trying to hit the lookout. But
He would have disappeared
not
shortly
sure.
after you saw him.
Oh, okay. So focused on the entryway, expecting orcs to come out.
Yeah, Ezra's also standing, well, looking warily at the entrance. Just keeping an eye, seeing if there's anyone approaching.
How many orcs do we think we can handle? Like one, maybe?
Fewer the better, in my experience.
I laughed out loud.
That one was big.
Should anyone tell Sharwyn and her companion that there's
So I
orcs around?
think now it looks like Sharwyn already has cast some sort of spell on herself, so I think they heard the trumpet and they're kind of taking their own preparations.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
just to reiterate, I'm not going to give you battle plans on how to fight my encounters. They might be superiors on some level to you, insofar as their rank in Neverwinter, but this is your party.
I was thinking of kind of warning so that maybe be able to back off if they see it's going south easier.
You suggest that I should use your corpse for cover as we flee.
I mean, if that's what it takes.
They're not paying me enough for that.
I don't think anybody's paying us anymore.
It's a noble suggestion for you.
So, do we hear any sounds of after the trumpet call? Do we hear sounds of, orcs moving about behind the stone walls?
Roll a perception check for me. You feel both like a heavy vibration to the earth, as well as hear minimal sounds of activity within the keep.
Let's ring some bells.
You think we can parley with them? I don't have much experience talking to orcs.
I have some experience, not talking to them directly, but listening into meetings with orcs. But they're usually not most pleasant of people.
I hate orcs. Like, favorite enemy, like, kind of hate.
So what you're saying is we shouldn't leave the talking to you.
Well, I may have some insight into how orcs behave, but I don't like them. But I can't understand what they say. So, I feel like I'd back off if we had more room to move. Do we want to get in a battle with a like a defensible shrine? Sharwyn, do we need to be inside? Like, do we actually have to go inside to do what we need to do here?
Well, this
So sadly, if I add height to the map, it adds it at the bottom.
Well, then we'll just be, a reasonable distance away from the front door, which is where we are now.
perhaps this god will look. Severus would look kindly if we cleanse his shrine. Though I don't know if it's within our capabilities.
The thunderous vibration in the ground has me concerned. Perhaps there's a giant of some sort in there.
But there's no way I would throw a giant at you.
Well, I don't want to like have too much information from the other party, but a large creature of some sort.
So you can somewhat place yourselves back at least a little bit more if you care to.
Cool. Yeah, thanks. It's like a little bit in the woods and a little bit back.
That would be the vague tree line along the same route. So inside of that would be difficult terrain.
All right. So I feel like we want to draw them out rather than go rushing in there. How about you guys?
To be honest, I would rather not have to fight them at all if we could avoid it, but
I mean, if you guys don't want to play D&D, we don't have to play. But like, you can't just avoid the encounter that I created.
How's your orc?
I
How's your
would like to
orcish?
fight from 400 miles away. No, pass. This is the encounter that you guys have.
I guess we're moving forward then.
Does anybody speak orc? Is there any chance of us having a conversation here?
I mean, I can speak orc, but I'm not really sure how much they want to speak to us.
Roll an insight check
seems
for
like-
me. The fact that they're not charging out at you says a lot. They both understand that they are in a defensible position and are not raiding you as if to destroy you.
Well, I guess I can move forward and try to speak to them.
I feel like that's you and Justin's specialty is speaking to the monsters.
Yeah, but we'll see how that works out.
I'll be right behind you.
I'll escort you. I can try and can I try and cover him with or keep my shield at the ready as he's walking up, trying to try to protect him.
I mean, there's actual feats that do that, so without the feat, no. But you can certainly stay beside him to try to make yourself a target.
Okay, yeah, so I just kind of stay next to him, sort of escorting him as he walks up.
Ezra will call out in a loud voice, in Orcish, that, "Oh, we do not come with hostile intentions. Is there anyone we can speak to?"
See, the corner of a head kind of pop through the little bit of the opening. Why are you here? This is our home.
"Oh, have you lived here long? Or are you newly moved in?"
What is long? He hits his chest. We live here. And he raises his hand and circles around his head.
We do not mean to take your home from you.
This would still be in Orcish, my bad.
Oh, sorry. Okay, never mind. I don't understand Orcish.
We can definitely stage whisper stuff to the
Yeah, you
druid,
can
though, right?
give me suggestions if you want to.
I think it's Severus's home, or well, it's not Severus Snipe, but the goddess. It's her home, also.
So Vanta would just suggest to Ezra, maybe tell them we're not here to take their home from them.
"We are not here to take your home from you."
What do we want to do? We want to visit the former inhabitant of the thing at the shrine.
We could ask about it if they actually know about any former inhabitants, or if it was empty when they moved in.
Humans are not kind to the orc folk. You are not welcome in our home.
Is there any way we can prove that we're not hostile to you?
Why would you come here to orc home and not be hostile?
Well, before your home was orc home, it was something else. And that's what we are interested in.
What something else is orc home?
Well, I don't know if there was any inhabitants before you moved in, but it used to be a temple to a goddess.
Ilneval does not live here.
So just be asking, Ezra, what's going on quietly, since I wouldn't have understood any of this back and forth.
I relay a bit briefly what's been what we've been talking about. Just thinking a bit how we should go on.
What's the name of their god that they mentioned?
Ilneval is the word that he would have passed.
Assuming we wouldn't recognize that. We wouldn't know much about the orc pantheon.
Let's have Ezra do a religion check at disadvantage.
Oof.
Definitely not.
Nope. Can you, Ezra? Can you ask them if they have enemies troubling them? Perhaps if we can show them a service, they will give us entrance.
Is there a service we can provide for you in exchange for entrance?
What service do humans provide other than playthings?
Well, maybe there is something you're afraid of? Something you don't want to do that we can help with?
We have been displaced. We come here fleeing from the dragon. You have seen this dragon?
I relay that to Vanton about the dragon.
If there's a choice between orcs and dragons, I'll take my chances with the orcs. But I've not seen any. I believe the kobolds mentioned something about a dragon, but I've seen no sign of it.
We have heard about a dragon, but we have not seen one ourselves.
In common, you would hear him say, "We are not unaware that you would fight orcs before a dragon, but we are here because of a dragon. This is our home."
And we do not mean to take it from you, but we do have business inside temporarily.
We'd like to pray at the shrine, right?
Little goblins speak of business and betray. Humans attack orcs. What business could you have in Orcombe?
Well, like,
There's
sorry.
no, go ahead.
Well, like I mentioned before, your Orc home used to be a temple, and we would wish to offer prayers to the goddess that used to preside in there. Eh.
Humans have not lived here for a long time. There's nothing but bones in this place.
I've heard that magic can linger a long time, and that if it remains, this goddess may be angry with you if you do not let us in to do our business and then depart.
Make an intimidation check. Silly human, there's no gods here.
Vanton would look at Ezra and be like, I'm somewhat out of ideas at this point.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting stumped too.
Could we pay them?
Maybe.
I wonder if I have any insight into what orcs might motivate orcs, because I dislike them so much.
Roll an insight check. Orcs like battle. You could certainly challenge them to an actual battle. They appreciate strength, appreciate good leaders. So those are probably the strongest reasons that they have to basically listen to somebody. You might find them motivated by gold and actual things of value, but you understand that most of the time that those things motivate an orc, it's because it tends to bring battle behind, and that's what gives an orc a reason to rise to prominence in great battles. And probably the last thing that might come to mind is simply laying down your arms and going in and approaching them peacefully, but essentially as their captives already.
Well, so I share that with everybody. I think we have to get Lord Bradford to fight one of them as like in a one-on-one duel.
I mean, would that really be a good idea?
I think it'd be awesome to watch. I don't think he'll do it though.
Yeah, I think he only cares about protecting Sharwyn.
I don't think he'll risk leaving Sharwyn undefended. But I suppose perhaps we could challenge one of them. Not to the death, a show of strength.
Like a wrestling match. You're very brave.
Something
Van.
to earn their respect. I don't know. You seem to know more of orcs than I do.
I just realized I speak orc too. I didn't. I thought I didn't, but I do. Good job, Ezra.
Thank you. So, what's our plan? Are we challenging an orc into single combat of sorts, or laying down our arms and basically offering ourselves as hostages, captives?
Well, Vanton would be very leery of dropping his weapons, but if that's what the party decides, he would go. He would reluctantly go along with it, but he's not the type to just sort of let his weapons down voluntarily.
Maybe we can offer to just have one person as a hostage, while the other ones move freely, as a security precaution for them. That works.
We could just ask them directly, what would it take for them to let us in?
We need to collect the bones of our ancestors. What do they require? Seems reasonable.
But they did say there were plenty of bones inside the temple. So what's our game plan? What are we coming up with?
Well, we probably all agree we don't want to get into a battle with some number of orcs. That's more than one, right?
Yeah, and since we don't know their exact numbers, that could be a very bad idea.
So I think what would it take for us to collect the skulls of our ancestors? That might be a reasonable request. We could pay. We could send one person. Do we know like what we're looking for inside? We just know we have to go here, but I don't know what we're supposed to find.
There's some kind of divination magic at work, possibly.
Make a religion check, Ansel.
Bad at religion.
I
Well, it's
vaguely
better than
understand
it.
that there's something valuable inside of this temple to Savaris that you were sent for.
So, in the camp, what would it take for us to collect the bones of our ancestors from the temple? Surely respect our desire to put them to rest.
Why do you value bones? What power is there in bones?
Well, there's power in putting human bones to rest in the earth. I know it seems silly, but that's how we operate. And it could be very... We could pay for the privilege, if you'd allow.
They make you stronger in the ground?
It keeps the ghosts away to put them in the ground.
There are no ghosts here.
Ah, there are no ghosts right there right now.
If they lay too long fallow, the ghosts will come.
There is no flesh left on these bones. They have lain long time. There are no ghosts here. You are safe to go.
Then there is no reason not to let us in, unless you fear that we are too strong for you.
This is an orc home. You are not welcome here.
And what must we do to be welcome?
Return our ancient home on Icespire Peak to us. That is our castle. The dragon currently lives there. Return it to us, and we will leave these human lands.
We are willing to do this for you, but there is something within your home that can help us defeat this dragon. We ask only that we be allowed inside temporarily to see if we can find it.
Roll a persuasion. You can come inside. Just you. You search for what you need, get rid of the dragon, and we will leave this place.
So when he says you, does Vanton get the sense he means just Vanton or just...
Yep, just Vanton.
Probably the person that least like to know what we're actually looking for. My friend here, and Vanton would gesture towards Ezra. He is more skilled with this magic we seek than I am. I would ask permission for him to accompany me. My knowledge is with sword and shield, as is yours, I am sure. Trying to flatter them. Persuade him again.
The other is not welcome. You can come in, or no one.
All right, so Vanton would turn back towards Ezra and Ansel, and so what do you think I'm looking for when I go in?
Well, it could be a book.
This temple is dedicated to divination. If you would like to ask a question of Savaris, you need only approach her dais, and upon resting yourself on it, get a hand, get your root, can meditate with her in any function. You should be able to commune with her by touching her dais. That, ask your question and return to us.
And was this Sharwyn telling him?
Yep.
Okay. So Vanton would nod his thanks to Sharwyn for that information, then turn to Ezra and Ansel and just say, guess I'm going in. Keep an eye out. Wait for my return. Pray for my return.
You're looking for this book that tells where Way of Echo Cavern is, right? So you're asking Savara where we can find that book, I think.
That was my quest, to find from the Banshee Agatha, Vinyana's book, on her locations. I believe she confirmed that she passed before the assaults on Wave Echo Cavern. We're looking for more than that now. If you intend to solve our problem, and not yours, you can certainly ask to find a location of the caverns as they are, or simply ask if the cauldron of the hag Tasha still remains within.
Thanks, Sharwyn.
So Vanton would turn back towards the orc and nod and say, then I will come in and find what I need. Then we will leave you and take care of this dragon. And he would start walking towards. He would sheath his sword, but he'd probably still have his shield kind of at the ready just in case it's a trap. But he doesn't. At this point, he doesn't really think it is.
As you approach forward, you would see a few different massive creatures standing almost 10 or 12 feet tall. One to the east of you, outside of the keep. Another to the direct south of you, inside of the keep. But they all seem to just be standing, kind of holding their position as you approach forward into the main gate of the Temple of Savaris.
Okay, just tell me when to stop moving my token.
Where are the bones of your ancestors?
I am told there is a dais, an old stone altar of sorts. That is where I've been told to check. Have you seen a place like this?
Most of the doors in this place have been knocked off their hinges. As they walk you through and into the actual keep, see most of the courtyard seems to be lived in. There's currently fires in different areas of it. But it seems that most of this internal courtyard is where they seem to reside. Inside of the actual temple itself, you would see massive quantities of signs that at one point wildlife essentially lived in this place. Both signs of spiders, giant spiders, bats, creatures, as well as human bones scattered across the floor inside of the place. And once you're fully inside, you would see signs of beds in that western chamber, as well as some sort of makeshift kitchen in the eastern chamber. And as you enter into the actual southern portion of the temple, you see a stone plinth set up at the very peak of the temple itself, and inside of that, what you would probably assume is the shrine itself.
Okay, so you're talking about this south room I just went in here,
Yep.
right? So I would approach the shrine. Have the orcs said or sort of done anything? They kind of just been escorting me as I walked through.
They seem to be curiously watching you, but otherwise they don't seem to be showing any overt sign of hostility. The ogres definitely bumped into different walls, causing them to collapse, but it seems somewhat pacified.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll approach the dais. Does it? Is there anything atop it, or is it just a stone? Sort of anything of particular note about it that I can see? Any like particular symbols or carvings, or is there anything?
It seems time has destroyed much of the actual signs on this thing.
Okay, so kind of like eroded, worn away stone.
Yeah, and there's good portions of the actual roof of this place that have clearly collapsed. Most of the central portion of the temple itself still remains, but there's definitely signs that essentially the entirety of the temple has still been open to the elements about it as well.
Okay, so I would, I think, approach the plinth. I would maybe, assuming I'm wearing some sort of like protective gauntlet, I would take off the one so that my bare hand is going to touch the stone, and sort of not being a particularly religious person used to this sort of thing, I would kind of somewhat tentatively reach out and then eventually lay my hand atop the plinth and just sort of probably instinctively close my eyes at that point.
So as you place your hand on top of this stone, you feel almost like a electric charge start to flow through your hand. You feel like essentially drawn deeper into it as you like are drawn into this power. There seems to be an odd sensation, not a voice in your head, but you feel a sign almost of a conversation starting. And it's a very weird thing because it seems almost as if someone's speaking in your head, but it's so alien to you that it's not quite that simple as your own internal monologue.
Okay, so I would probably be, I probably like mouthing the words aloud, not speaking aloud, but kind of, since this sensation is so odd to me, I would essentially be kind of trying to ask it mentally, I guess. May I ask a question? Not actually speaking aloud, but
Smartass in me wants to say
as soon as I said that, it's like,
was
well, you
indeed
just
your
did.
question.
Yeah, as soon as, yeah, that's as soon as I said it, I was like, oh no. Maybe you would say instead, I have a question.
You smell a pungent odor just start to emanate through this area. It smells almost metallic as you're just like bombarded by this feeling. And you hear an odd sensation to you, almost ringing between your ears. And it kind of starts to form into words as you hear, "You may seek your answer."
We seek the entrance to long lost Cornbehir. Where can we find it?
There remains one ancient entrance from within the Underdark, and treacherous group of dwarves has unearthed a new entrance. Ancient. And there's almost, I'm trying to use words that would actually fit into, I don't know if chlorine naturally exists where people would really know what it is, but you would have this odd chlorine smell emanating through this area, as the like ringing in your ears goes silent.
I think as the ringing in the ears goes silent, this sort of chemically chlorine scent comes. I think Vanton would get the idea that his trying to ask another question maybe dangerous, so he would at that point take his hand off the plinth.
The sensation of this electrifying attraction towards this stone plinth would have dissipated at the same time. When you go to remove your hand, there's no longer like an almost magnetic feeling drawing you towards it. It's already released you.
Okay, so then at that point, I think I would have had my eyes closed throughout this entire time, just sort of instinctively. So as I open them, I would kind of just like look about sort of the plinth and the room about me, almost expecting something to be different, but seeing if there's anything looks like it's happened.
There's an orc standing about 6 feet tall with its head at like a 60-degree angle, just staring at you.
Does he look surprised, scared, or just sort of confused?
Still looks curious and confused. Are your ancestors in that stone?
I thought they were, but it turns out they have been moved. Our God has told us where to find them. My work here is finished. But as it happens, these bones are not far from Icespire Peak, so we will keep our word and deal with this dragon for you as well. He would probably be not 100% truthful at that point. So I don't know if essentially it's kind of like a deception.
You can roll a deception check. He reaches out his arm to you.
Go ahead, reach out, I guess, to
And
sort of grasp it. And
grasping it like your elbow. He shakes like, forearm to forearm. If you are to reduce this dragon and return our homeland, we will leave these ancient human lands, and you can return to your ancestors' land.
a deal then. Agreed. It will be good for both of our kinds to return home.
And while still shaking your hand, he says, "This next part, I apologize for." And he bashes you over the head and knocks you out.
Uh-oh.
I'll see Vanton's unconscious body drug out from inside of the orc keep. The orc comes out, throws his body to the ground, and walks back inside.
So
we'll go.
did I take any damage from that, or he just kind of like more for flavor, knocking me out with like a well-placed hit to the temple or something?
That is more for the flavor in orcs don't deal well for weakness. If he was to let you go without a problem, the rest of the orcs might attack you anyways for the sign of his weakness.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Would Vanton be smart enough to realize that's what he was doing?
You can roll an insight check. But you would all see as well as 3 more orcs step out of the forest and start to walk into the... Yeah, you would be aware enough. God, that's so many fucking 20s in that little line.
And I don't even have good charisma. My charisma is 10. I don't have any bonus to it. So I was worried with these checks.
Well, that's one of the important things. Like, there's certain things where you need proficiency to like be the person doing a lot of stuff. That's why I like to have, if somebody's helping with something, they are proficient in it. But certain things that people do, like anybody can succeed at a lot of stuff. Usually a DC is between 10 and 15, especially in like tier 1. Like once you're looking for over 20, like a 20 plus DC is extremely difficult. 25 plus is essentially impossible. 30 plus is godly. So there's there's certain DCs that anybody can accomplish. And it's one of those things that like, that's a very solid way to work out that encounter. Both of those efforts with those 20s were clutch.
And so Vanton would be rubbing his head, and he'd give a look to
And
Ansel
also,
and
the same thing with Ansel's insight. You would be aware enough, like it wouldn't be surprising to see that he's drug out unconscious from inside of there. That, again, would be a very common orc trait that wouldn't really surprise you.
I guess I should have warned him.
It might have been best that you didn't warn him of such things. He may not have entered as likely, knowing that his body would be drug out by the orcs.
He looks pretty good, though.
That's a fair point, Sharwyn. I think better not to know ahead of time, else I might not have been so quick to sheathe my blade.
How was it in there?
So I would sort of describe kind of the general sort of what I saw. I wasn't really trying to keep like a careful count of the orcs, but I mentioned I saw a couple. I don't know if those were, those big creatures. I don't know if I'd know what they were. And then
I don't think ogres would be too surprising. It's kind of like most myth, like fairy tales and stories. Growing up as a kid, you learn about a lot of monsters without necessarily knowing that they are real or not. So seeing an ogre wouldn't be too surprising. You wouldn't necessarily know too much about ogres other than just having them described in the same way that, like, you know of orcs, but not necessarily the different kinds of orcs or appreciate their different gods.
right, okay, so I would describe as best as I could. I would Vanton would probably be very bad at describing just what happened when he put his hand on the plinth, but he would try
Let
to.
me have a perception, an insight, and then I guess just a straight intelligence after that. And those will give 3 different levels of how to describe what you would have seen inside.
Okay.
So perception, insight, and then intelligence. So perception, you would have seen many different bones inside, beyond count. It's hard to really grasp, like, why this place was filled with so many bones. Wouldn't be enough that you really know a whole lot of difference. You are vaguely aware that this place was destroyed around the same time that Wave Echo Cavern was destroyed, and do gather that most of the bones inside of here were probably people from Coneyberry who came here for shelter inside of the keep, and that's probably when this keep fell and the temple fell. And intelligence-wise, it's enough that you can describe that you're pretty sure you were either speaking with an avatar of Savras or one of her, like, archpriests, in some way gaining the divinatory knowledge, where you can recall most of what she said, but I would say the 3 key things that you can recall was that the voice referred to the dwarves as treacherous, that there was an entrance that they uncovered, and that there's an ancient entrance from the Underdark. You guys still there? Do you have any thoughts as he relays that to you?
I'm interested in what Sharwyn thinks about this entrance in the Underdark. Sharwyn, you have any opinions about this?
Underdark is vast and problematic. The kobolds may be useful searching through it. If I understand anything historically about this place, it was rumored to have been located off of one of the underground oceans inside of the Underdark, and that the waves crashing in this ocean were the reason that the entire cavern was named what the humans of the time called Wave Echo Cavern. Perhaps a way for us to enter. But if history tells me anything, we would be finding an underwater passage, not a clear entrance. There are not many dwarves in this place. If we are able to locate the dwarves, perhaps that will be the solution that we require.
Well, I'm no strong swimmer. My vote would be for the dwarves.
Yeah, I don't want to swim underground in a cave. I want to be
From what I've
outside.
heard of the Underdark, it is not a pleasant place.
Yeah, the place of nightmares.
At best, the Underdark presents a wild land of darkness. At worst, it is the home to the Dark Elves, and we would be invading their territory. If it is easy to enter this cavern, can also assume that the Dark Elves have taken it for their own. Magics that it possessed would be valuable to anyone who appreciates the weed.
So, in order to hunt dwarves, I think we have to hunt ale, right?
We have recently come through Tribor, and while there was a dwarf who ran a tavern in that location, I do not believe they are uncovering any ancient lands. The town of Phandalin, which arose when this place was productive, has recently been resettled in the last 10 or so years. I believe that will be the next place that we should go, and perhaps find what we look for.
Well, I'd rather deal with dwarves, even treacherous ones, than dark elves and the Underdark.
Yeah, dwarves, especially treacherous ones, rather than dark elves for me.
A treacherous dwarf means very little when gold and riches are being discussed. Simply just a dwarf.
I'd like to meet a few of these. Which direction is it? I haven't been to Phandalin.
So I think vaguely right now, Shrine of Savras. That might actually be closer to Coneyberry. I think it's vaguely right there. It's just like south of Coneyberry. So you all are not far from Coneyberry. and you can return down the Tribor, heading towards Phandelin. In general, I would say there was a chance that you all would have considered stopping off there on your way to Tribor and passing through Coneybury, just knowing that that's where your destination was when you were searching for Sharwyn. But without assuming like something derailed your actual expedition leaving Neverwinter, there would be no true reason to go there. Everybody would still know and understand that it is essentially a frontier town with little more than like supplies for the worst case scenario.
Oh, it's that spot. Gotcha.
My bad. Do you see where I drew it? Like it's just south of Coneybury now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like north of Old Owlwell, right? That X.
Yeah, like northwest of Old Owlwell. Old Owlwell is actually inside of the mountains. It's probably about a day's travel outside of Coneybury. And it would be something that vaguely you all would know and understand of that place's existence. It's one of the locations in that area that a lot of like ghost stories would kind of creep up around.
How far is a hex, Mara?
I believe on this map the hexes are 5 miles. I do not think that I even this one out. Oh, yeah, I did. You should be able to measure and get a true line.
Cool. Well, I'm ready to head back to Phandelin.
You're vaguely 50 miles from Phandelin, which is about 2 days travel.
Then, how many orcs were in there?
I was more focused on finding what I could see, but
You would have seen
more than
the 4 that were walking with the ogre, and then you would have seen the 3 when you were coming back to consciousness outside. So you know that there's at least 7 there.
okay. So yes, I would say at least 7, plus an ogre. So and even far more than we could have dealt with.
You would have also seen the 2 ogres as well.
Oh, okay, yeah. So and a couple of ogres. So far more than we could have dealt with in a fight.
Well, nice job going in there.
So I guess unless we had any reason to know that the Tribord Trail was dangerous, Vanton would probably suggest we take that and then take the Tribord Trail southeast and then cut down to Phandelin.
There's been enough rumors in Neverwinter about shipments being interrupted on their way to Tribor. You all haven't gone to Phandelin and found out that Phandelin is basically failing to get any of its shipments, but I think it's enough that mercenaries would be vaguely aware that there seems to be orcs raiding Tribor Trail, and you may have just met them.
Okay, so maybe instead then he would suggest we stay off the trail and kind of skirt it and sort of make a general southwesterly direction towards I guess would Sharwyn know where Phandelin was located? Like could she give us a general direction in which way to go?
I think we all walked past it when we came out from Neverwinter. Like the high road to the Tribor.
Yeah, you all would have been at least vaguely aware when you passed by that road.
Oh, okay. Okay. So we know where we're going.
I think we hurried along because they were hurrying along. We're trying to catch up. It's weird that the people from the castle don't have horses. Do we ever ask Sharwyn where all her other knights went? There was knights, like plural. I guess we never got the story.
We can ask her when we make camp for the night.
It's almost as if there was an invisible hand trying not to make her too powerful.
Yeah, because if we had fought her, we'd be happy that there was only one other knight there.
Yeah,
Well,
like,
I kind of vote for taking the road myself because I'm aware how many things there can be in the woods. It's very unpredictable.
And you'd like to fight some orcs if they come after us on the road, right?
Well, 1, 2, not 9.
I think you're aware enough that there's not going to be any big difference in whether you encounter something along the road versus encountering something just off of the road, and that traveling through the wilderness well off of the road is going to significantly increase your travel time.
So maybe we just risk the road then.
Yeah, I feel like we should just take the road, the trail.
We'll get to Phandelver. We'll stay in an inn. We'll sleep in a bed. We'll get to drink. It'll be good.
All right then. Suppose there's no sense in delaying.
Yeah, let's head out.
Oh shit, okay. So along the first day of your travels, you all would see as shortly before dusk, with the setting sun to its back, you would see the outline of the dragon seeming to fly off of the coast, returning to the high peak of the Sword Mountains.
How close would it be to us when we see it? Like just kind of way off in the distance, or somewhere that we would like need to take cover and hide from it.
It'd be traveling along that, and at best, you all would be making that sort of path for that. In general, it wouldn't really draw too much like fear-wise attention of getting attacked, but more just the understanding of this is the dragon the orcs were speaking about.
And is it big? Like really, really big?
For most of where you saw it, it would be deceptively small. It's been at a pretty massive distance at any given time. So without seeing it close by, it's hard for you to actually gather its size.
And can we tell what color it was? Or anything about it?
It matches quite perfectly to the color of the sky, some sort of bluish whiteness, the color of clouds.
And you told them we were going to take care of that for them? Ben?
I think it was the only way they would let me inside, but I didn't give a timeline.
Ah, that's good. All right.
And I wouldn't killing a dragon.
I like that caveat. I didn't give him a timeline.
Spoken like a boss.
Every mercenary likes to think he'd like to kill a dragon at some point, be a real feather in his cap. Just not today.
Well, we made a lot of progress.
Hopefully it won't be too much trouble to find this Cornby here, these dwarves, and take care of what we need to.
Let me
So how much
have
progress?
one of you roll a D100 for me.
Ezra. We've all got to roll a lot.
Yeah, I can roll. Let's see. D1.
It's you, buddy.
How to get blamed for shit hitting the fan.
Yeah.
Oh, that's actually really, really shitty for me and really, really good for you.
How to get all the credit for making it hard on the DM. Never a good idea to make it hard on the DM.
Yeah, I feel like that can backfire.
Totally.
I'll tell you what, I'm not stoked for this.
I was not trying to set you up, Chris, to be in trouble. I was actually just thinking that there were a lot of strings of 20s and stuff that we were rolling, and you hadn't rolled in a while.
Yeah, no, I got the why. It seems like I really can't roll high for the life of me.
Alright, roll D3. It can be a D6 if you just want to do it like that. Otherwise, /R 1D3.
The /R 1D3. That's like all one word, or?
Space after the R. /R space 1D3. How to give a druid access to fucking dinosaurs.
Wait, what?
I really, really hate that this fucking game has dinosaurs in it. But I also understand that most druids at some point want access to dinosaurs. I know when I've played druids, I'm not opposed to being able to turn into a dinosaur. But this is how you start.
Can druids turn into anything that they encounter?
Any beasts.
But not a dragon from 10 miles away, I guess.
Moon druids can eventually gain the ability to turn into dragons. And the last roll from you, let me have you roll. Let's see. A D12.
Uh-oh.
So, outside of... I think outside of Phandalin, after you all have taken to the road that starts to approach the actual city itself, as you all are approaching the kind of final pass, as it's still like switchbacking up into the mountains, you will come across a point where you turn on the next switchback, and you come into contact of these two massive creatures, just kind of like pecking at each other's necks, and within a moment, their attention is drawn to you. What do you all do?
I'm curious if I can recognize what they are. Are they bird-like?
Yeah, they're definitely still bird-like. They stand probably about 15 or 20 feet tall on their hind legs, and they seem to be balanced by a long tail that's vaguely as long as they are tall.
Wow. They have sharp teeth or blunt teeth?
From what you can tell, roll a perception. Seem to have pretty sharp teeth, and quite a large quantity of them.
Uh-oh. They look hungry, boys.
Ezra, Vanton,
We're
what
back.
are you two doing as you all round that corner?
Ezra, gonna look. Do they seem? We saw them like, what did they say, nipping at each other. Like, do I know from their behavior what they're doing? Like, were they like grooming each other? Were they fighting?
You can roll either an insight or an animal handling. Banton, what are your thoughts? You all would see as Sharwyn is again weaving that gossamer cord around her body, and as that blue and purple glow seems to sink into her flesh and surrounds her body.
So I think Vanton would be trying to very slowly back away, back um, towards like Bradford and Sharwyn.
Ezra, you would clearly understand that these are predators. And as you start to back away, these creatures are charging at you. All right, first action's going to be from Vanton. Backing away.
Okay, and so as they start charging at us, I'm going to probably realize that was probably not the best thing to do.
That's what prey does.
So I'm going to unsheath a hand axe. I'm going to move forward 15 feet. I'm going to be shouting at it, trying to essentially make myself seem as threatening as I can. And I'm going to throw one of my hand axes, which I think has a range of 20 feet, at this dinosaur right in front of me.
13 will hit.
I don't want to retreat, so I'm just going to keep sort of shouting and trying to scare it off. Or not sure how good that's going to go, given how much bigger it is than I am. But
Is that it from you at present then?
yeah, I'm going to save my action surge and stuff till later, so that'll be it for now. Actually, sorry, can I make that a distracting strike instead, using one eye superiority die?
Most certainly.
Still getting used to the fighter skills. Oh, oops, that's not right. Oh, it rolled all 48.
2.
Yeah, we can just take that first one. Yeah, so it deals an extra 2 damage, and the next attack against it has advantage if it happens before the start of my next turn.
So it is almost going to run back and up the trail before very quickly, almost turning on a dime, it is going to charge back at you. And as it gets close to you, it's going to leap into the air, and its hind claws are going to extend out in front of it as it assaults down upon you. I think it's going to miss with an 11.
Yes, that'll miss.
That's quite unfortunate. And it is going to go to Ezra.
See, I'm gonna cast. Oh, wait, maybe I'm gonna check first. Yeah, I'm gonna cast Entangle on.
That's a 20-foot cube?
Yeah, exactly.
Or a
20-foot cube.
Square, rather.
Yeah, square. Point within range.
Oh, if you go to the paintbrush, you can draw it basically 2x2 square on that board.
Let's see. Draw freehand? A 2x2, yeah, let's see. So I'm thinking around that.
Okay, wait, I might have said that wrong. I think it's actually a 4x4.
Oh, so it's more like, let's see. Like that. Or am I stupid?
Nope, yep, that's good.
Yeah. So now I'll put it down like that. And then I'm gonna use my bonus action to put down a spirit totem. Very long text. I'm gonna put it down as let's see, what was it? A bear spirit? Yeah, a bear spirit, and I'm gonna put it down like Here. The X. Yeah, the very badly drawn X. And give everyone, what is it? 5 plus my level, so 3. So 8 health. 8 temporary hit points. That is 30 feet radius. That should be.
And your spell DC is 13 right now?
Yes, that it is.
So you see as the one Allosaur just kind of pulls its leg out of the entangling vines, seemingly unaffected by it.
Okay, so they're strong.
Dinosaurs. It should come as too much of a shock.
That should be the end of my turn.
And you said it was a bear spirit, right?
Yeah, a bear spirit. So basically, I made every allied creature. Well, I mean, grants you and your allies its might and endurance. Each creature of your choice in the aura, when the spirit appears, gains temporary hit points equal to 5 plus my level. And you gain advantage in strength checks and saving throws.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
It's going to go to Ansel.
Ansel's going to move so you can get a nice clear shot on this Allosaurus. I'm going to cast as my bonus action Hunter's Mark on the one that's right by Vanton, and then I'm going to attack with an arrow.
And you've got advantage from my from my distracting attack.
That's awesome. I got 8 temporary hit points and advantage.
24 will hit. 7 damage?
It's +7 to hit the longbow, so it's 8 piercing plus.
Nah, I'm not
3.
sure why you rolled the damage at the start, but that's what I was taking. Oh.
Oh, I cast Hunter's Mark, and it's Hunter's Mark is another 6 damage if I hit.
Alright, I got you. So 11 damage.
I think I got 8 and
I
3.
see what it's doing. You pre-rolled
6.
the Hunter's Mark.
Well, I feel like marking the animal before you attack it is like the right order of operations, but maybe I
Except
should
for
do it
that
the
if
other
you
way.
crit, a Hunter's Mark is rolled with your damage dice, because in the same way as like if a rogue crits, their sneak attack doubles as well as their actual attack damage. So once your Hunter's Mark is placed, when you deal damage, you have that extra d6 damage. I am not sure why there is an extra piercing and slashing d6 though. Weird to me.
Yeah, I don't know what that is either. All right, but the point was, like, for me, it was I fired an arrow, I rolled my damage on the arrow, and there should be an extra 6 points of damage for the Hunter's Mark. So I think it's 8 plus 3 because I'm a Colossal Slayer, and this is like a giant thing that we're fighting.
Maybe it rolled all 3 because you hadn't specified what your weapon was yet, so it didn't know what kind of damage it was going to be.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. So that's supposed to happen after. I assumed, like, in the role-playing part, you'd mark your creature and then you'd fire.
Well, you definitely cast Hunter's Mark beforehand. Like, that's the proper order, is to bonus action Hunter's Mark, but it doesn't deal damage until you actually hit. Once it's on there, when you deal damage, your Hunter's Mark deals damage.
Okay. So next time I'll say it, attack, do damage, and then roll it. Copy that. So I think it's 8 plus 3 because I have the Colossal Slayer specialty, and then plus 6. So that's 17. Thanks for that advantage, Van.
Glad you made use of it.
So yeah, this one's going to be doing a pretty similar thing where it almost flees up the trail, and it's going to leap completely over that entangling ground, as again it's jumping at Vanton with its claws out. The hind claws, and this time's going to hit with a 21.
Yeah.
It's going to do 18 damage to you with piercing, and I need you to make a strength saving throw.
Okay. Can I parry that
You most certainly can.
damage? Okay, so I'll do the parry first before I roll the strength.
And you have advantage on strength saving throws because of the bear totem or bear spirit.
So 11 piercing damage.
So I get that's 7 plus 2. So it's I reduce it by 9.
So 9 piercing damage. Strength
Okay, so
saving
that
throw
wipes
with
out my
advantage.
so that wipes out my temporary and then deals 1 regular damage. 17 for the strength saving throw.
You are able to stay standing as this thing pounces on top of you.
That advantage definitely came in handy. That could have been bad.
Yes, it definitely could have been bad. Sharwyn is going to form an icy ball of snow in her hand and release it against the allosaur that has been damaged. She's going to hit it and deal 10 damage as one of its limbs is almost frozen solid. And Sir Bradford seems to hold in front of her. It's going to go to Vanton.
All right, so I'm going to draw out my longsword now and attack the wounded dinosaur in front of
17 hits.
and that's one-handed, obviously. So, yeah, I think it'd be. Is it rolling the duelist? Yeah, 1d8 plus 4. Yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
it's in there.
Okay. Yeah. So that's 7. Can I tell how badly hurt it looks at this point, or if it
It's
does?
definitely severely wounded.
All right. I think I'm going to use my action surge to attack it again. Try to finish it off. Ah. Assuming that one will miss.
Yep. Let's see. At the end of your turn, it is going to try to bite into your arm as you swing at it. It's going to hit you for a 21, and it's going to do 6 slashing damage. Oh, wait, no, 6 piercing damage from that bite.
Okay.
As it kind of bites down on your arm, it is going to start to run after Ezra with you in its maw. And it is going to claw at him. Fucking 10 to hit.
That misses.
I'm just trying to keep my arm from getting ripped off.
And then it's going to go to Ezra.
I am gonna swing my scimitar at the dinosaur. Let's see. Wait, that's the wrong button.
$11 misses. I should go to Ansel.
Which one is damaged? The one that's chewing on Banton or not?
Yep, the one that's holding on to Banton.
Okay, I'm going to fire an arrow at that one. Of course, my hunter's mark is still on that one.
14 will hit.
I double clicked, sorry. And then you want me to cast my hunter's mark now or just tell you?
Yeah, it's just roll a
1d6.
d6.
I'll roll a d6 next time, I guess. But anyway, so that's 12 damage total. So. Oh, sorry, +1 because I'm a Colossal Slayer. 13, how's it doing?
I don't understand how you just roll sixes. What that hunter's mark is doing.
I won't roll it next time. I'll just roll this d6 by itself.
That's 4 6s and 2 1s out of clicking hunter's mark.
Oh, you think it's like it's sort of malfunctioning?
Yeah, there's ways to accidentally basically have like auto crit, which means it rolls the highest die, or that it's crit or miss, which means it rolls either the highest die or the lowest die.
Well, I'll just roll the die next time. I'll stop using it. We know we're using it, so.
At this point, it is pretty severely injured, but it seems to be maintaining its last bit of life.
Sorry, Benton. That's my turn.
This one's going to do a pretty similar maneuver. It's going to run to the north, and as it turns around, it's going to make its charge, leaping through the air to land on Sir Bradford. It will hit with an 18. $12 plus. It's going to maintain his stance. Really just want to knock somebody over because they get to bite your head off afterward. And it's gonna do that 9 damage to him. And it will go to Sharwyn, who's going to do another ice blast towards the weak one. And that's gonna hit, and it's gonna kill it. Bradford's gonna nat 1. Gonna 13. 13's just below her AC. He's gonna plink off of the mage armor that Sharwyn currently has. And it's gonna go to Vanton.
Okay, was I assuming when it died, it released me, was able to land on my feet?
You can make a dexterity saving throw. Or I guess really it's an acrobatics check. Yeah, you're gonna have to use movement to stand.
All right. I mean, not that it really matters, but so I'll use 15 feet of my movement to stand up, move over, and swing with my longsword at the remaining dinosaur.
11 will miss.
All right, and I think that's it for me.
It will go to Ezra.
I'm gonna cast Frostbite at the dinosaur.
It's going to have no effect on it.
Let's see then. How's Benton? How are you looking at HP wise?
I'm hurt, but not like severely wounded yet. So I got I'm only down 7 because the temporary HP took the brunt of that first attack.
Yeah, then
And
I'm gonna.
and mechanically also I do have a second wind I can use. So
Oh right, you're fighting. Yeah, well then that's my. Yeah, that's my turn there.
Go to Ansel.
Hansel's going to use his bonus action to move his hunter's mark from the dead one to the live one and move a few steps to line up his shot so he doesn't hit his compatriots. And I'm going to attack with my longbow.
21 will hit. Just to throw it out there, anybody in melee with a creature is definitely hittable. And a d6.
There's damage. All right.
See, even your Colossus Slayer, you've rolled 3 1s with it.
There was a 3 that happened though too earlier.
Okay, I do see the 3. Yeah,
So it's
I really
live,
hate
it's not
dice
stuck.
rollers. It's really hard to like come to terms with when probability starts throwing out shit like that. Because it feels so easy to be, yeah, there's something like in the programming making a mistake. Oh, 11 damage.
Yeah. I mean, I play like other Roll20 games and you have to program it, so it's easy to see how that would happen, but like on the D&D Beyond, I don't feel like I have any control over it. So I think it's set up right.
Inside of the little red dice roller, there's different ways to set it up that can cause those things.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh yeah, dice formula bonuses and stuff. I see that. They're all
like
my
the
boxes
force
are empty.
critical and shit.
Yeah, all my stuff is, I think it looks like it's okay, but it doesn't always work the way I expect. So happy to roll just regular die whenever we're worried about it.
At the end of Vanton's turn, this Allosaur is going to claw out at Bradford. It is going to hit and knock him prone. Oh shit, I had him like pasted on the map.
Bet you he's sorry he didn't get in the fight sooner now.
is that at the end of Vanton's turn or Ansel's?
Ansel, I
End
think.
of Ansel's turn.
Okay.
And then it is going to step away from you, Vant.
Do we get an opportunity attack as it moves away?
You most certainly can. That's why I say that. If you want to
Okay.
use your reaction, you have that ability.
All right. I wasn't sure at first if it was disengaging, but then I figured it was probably moving to do the same thing it did before.
14 will. As it leaps through the air, it's going to have a 23 to hit Ezra.
Yeah, that definitely hits.
Gonna do 11 piercing damage to you, and I need you to make a strength saving throw with advantage. Also a constitution saving throw. are able to stay standing. You'll lose your concentration though. Sharwyn going to do the same blast of ice. She's going to miss. And it's going to go to Vanton.
All right, so I think I'm going to use my bonus action to make a fainting attack. So it'll add 5 to damage if I hit, and then use my action to attack it with advantage.
All right.
Oh, God.
One second here, though. Fainting attack. That's still coupled with an attack, though. Add the damage.
Right. It's the one I have to do the bonus action first. It's just the timing is a little off because I get advantage on my next attack.
Yeah, but that one's
roll.
like not as use. That one is meant for when you have extra attack. Because it turns your attack into a fainting attack with your bonus action.
Oh, so it's like it gives you damage on the first attack and then advantage on your second attack.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying. Okay, can I retcon that? I misunderstood what
But
that was
that's
doing.
something also that before, when you actually have your action surge, you can still make it happen using action surge. But yeah, that's meant to be used with an attack. It burns your bonus action, and then on your next attack you have advantage as well.
Okay, I misunderstood
You
that.
don't have to actually burn that, even though advantage would not have helped you at all. So you should still have that, because again, that specific one is only useful at this low of level when you are burning your action surge. Until you hit level 5, that's not even really like usable.
Okay.
Although it doesn't
yeah.
say. Yeah, it does say this turn. So yeah, you can't even burn it and get the advantage for your attack next turn.
Okay, so I would have just made a regular attack then, and I guess I would have missed.
Yeah, that like clinks off of its armor. At that point, you all are pretty aware that their AC is 13. And it's going to go to Ansel. Oh, and my bad, Ezra.
I'm gonna take a second swing with the scimitar and see if that hits. And it definitely
7
doesn't.
will miss. And it'll go to Ansel.
Ansel's going to move again a little bit because it just makes him feel better to not be shooting right at his friends and yell at Bradford. Get in the fight, old man. And he'll fire. And he'll hit. And he'll do some damage. And he'll roll a die 6. Colossus Slayer iterated that
really
time.
Really consistent with your die rolls.
Yeah. I'll roll them all in the Roll20 thing if you guys want to see them that way. But yeah, it's been going well, I'd say. Bradford, get in the fight.
I can see all of the rolls. It's just that your rolls are all the same.
And that's my turn. How's he looking?
It's definitely looking pretty rough. And at that point, I think it's actually going to claw out at Vanton. And as you go to dodge its claw, it's going to disengage and flee.
Attacks of opportunity, boys.
No. The claw is how it's disengaged. Its action is
Kinda
to
like the-
disengage. Like, I think people are silly to imagine that there is I disengage. No, you like attack and get somebody to step away from you, and in that attack, that's your disengage action. You use that as a way to get somebody off their footing to run. So it basically swung its legs out to claw at the two of them as it flees.
Got it. And does it only go far enough that I can still hit it with an arrow in the next turn, or
No,
is that the end of the combat?
that's the end of the combat.
I'm just going to recover my one hand axe and I'd thrown at the first one.
I was going to get a couple of teeth from that ridiculous thing. Never saw a dinosaur before.
You can make a medicine check.
And Vanton would turn to Ezra's like, is there anything that can, either of you ever eaten dinosaur meat?
You're able to pull out some of its teeth without any problems. It seems to have like next to no problems, like kind of tearing them out, almost as if it loses teeth on a regular basis and grows them in a regular basis.
Excuse me, Vanton, what did you say? I didn't hear properly.
Oh, I was asking if dinosaurs make for good eating. Can you harvest meat from them?
To be honest, I'm not sure. I haven't tasted dinosaur before, but I don't know. Do I know? Would I know anything about that? Nah.
He's a mercenary, so he you know, he's always foraging for whatever he can.
You
Right.
can try. You're more than welcome to try.
So, important aspect on a druid, go into your extras tab, manage extras, and you should be able to add an Allosaurus to your wild shapes.
How do you spell that?
I think it's ALLOSAURUS.
The only thing I find on A is axe beak. Oh wait, there it is. I see it. And I add that. Let's cool. So I can be a dinosaur.
Not quite, but you've seen one. And that's a start.
Oh. Oh right, because yeah.
I
Yeah, when do you get to
believe
do that?
For your circle, you have to be level 8 before you can turn into a CR2.
Let's see.
I think
Wild
it's
shape.
1/4 of your level.
It's action you can magically assume the shape of a base that you've seen twice per short rest. Second, max CR 1/4. At second level, fourth level is max CR 1/2, and eighth is max CR 1. I have really hard time understanding this one.
Oh, so you can't even turn into it. You have to be a moon druid to be able to turn into a Allosaur. But if you ever
It's
take
different.
polymorph, you can polymorph into a Allosaur.
Okay. Well, good to know.
How long do those temporary hit points last?
I think when he lost his concentration, did that take that spell away, or was that something else?
No, sadly, Circle of the Shepherd has no concentration on those fucking things.
No, let's see. It lasts for 1 minute, the spirit totem, or until I am incapacitated.
Cool.
And after the fight, it would essentially fade away, and you'd lose them.
I enjoyed them while we had them.
Definitely came in handy for me.
Yeah, I don't think those
And I-
disappear inside of its minute. You just gain those when he casts it. So I have a feeling those will just stay even beyond the length of the spirit totem.
Oh, okay, even better for Ansel.
I think they would dissipate, like basically like when you rest for the night. But without looking into it, I don't think those go away just right away.
Cool. I'll hang on to them then.
There would be a moment where Sir Bradford will stand up to Ansel's face and he will look down on you and say, "My duty is to my lady. You would accuse me of avoiding a fight? Can certainly end it. But until that time comes, I stand by her side."
All right, buddy.
Ansel would
it's-
go and try to diffuse the situation.
Yeah,
Well, I'm not
Ezra.
going to try to reason with him.
Yeah, Ezra. He's gonna ask Sir Bradford if he's injured or in need of healing.
No, I think the damage that he took would have been absorbed by the same extra hit points.
Goody.
So you all are essentially outside of Phandalin. What have you in mind?
Beer, food,
Uh,
bed.
I guess what time of day is it when we make it there?
It would be around dusk as you kind of head into Phandalin.
Yeah, Vanton would be ready for a drink, I think, after fighting off a pair of dinosaurs.
Yeah,
I think
place
we're
to
really
rest.
pleased with ourselves too, right?
Yeah, well, we survived 2 dinosaurs. That's a big plus in my book.
So heading into the town, you all would see a hill that sort of creates the entire view of this town. As you enter from the north, you see probably like 30 or so homes that kind of are built up along this like arching road that seems to lead up into the destroyed outside of an old castle atop like the highest little peak of the town itself. You'd see little bits of activity in the town, but otherwise it seems pretty quiet as dusk sets on it and the sun sets on the town. And you start to walk by the first few farmhouses until you make it to an open town square of sorts where you would see there is a inn to the northeast of you, a shrine to the northwest, and it seems like a mayor's house to the southeast of you. Otherwise, it's hard to tell what else might be in this place.
Seems rather quiet. But that over there looks like a tavern or an inn.
Well, should we walk over and see if they had any beds to spare or a table to sit at?
Sounds like a plan.
So you can approach the inn. You do see a sign that labels it the Stone Hill. There's literally a stone resting right on top of a hill. and it's the Stonehill Inn. You can enter through the swinging double doors, and as you walk in, you see a large, about 60 by 60 room, about 7 or 8 tables inside, a large raised platform in the center, and then there seems to be a barkeep sitting down to the left of the room, behind a low bar with stools set beside it.
I think Vanton would just kind of directly go and approach the barkeep and kind of call out to get their attention and suggest tell the others to like find a table. Is there anyone else inside besides the barkeep?
It is starkly empty.
Because
Hello, welcome.
you have any friends and I would like some ale and a room for the night if you have it. Or perhaps 2 rooms.
We should have all of these things. Ale, we have in plenty. Rooms, I think I have 4 left.
So he'll gesture towards assuming that Ansel and Ezra, Sharwyn, and Bradford have found a table. He'll gesture towards them and just say, "You bring a round of ales over to the table, and that'll be fine for a start."
Ales to the group. There's 5 of you. Excellent. 5 ales. That'll be 5 silver. Like, holds his hand out to you.
Would that seem high to Vanton?
It's not necessarily high.
Okay, I was trying to remember what it was like for the other. I wasn't sure if it. Okay, so Vanton would hand over.
Regularly bullshit every single price inside of a tavern.
Okay. I'm trying to not meta from like the other group. Yeah, so Vanna would he'd hand over a gold piece, wait for his change.
He like sees this man kind of like bites into it and like checks real quick, pockets it, and pulls out 5 little silver coins and hands them across to you as he starts to fill the mugs.
So I'd thank him, and then I'd just head back over towards the others. Sort of as I reach them, maybe start muttering that seems kind of empty in here.
Well, to be fair, it isn't really a big town. I don't really suspect they get many visitors.
Yeah, but
Gonna-
with so few visitors, how do you stay in business?
Frontier town like this, everybody should be drinking.
Y'all gonna continue standing by the door?
I think we're seated at a table. Oh, there's a map. Sorry. Which table did we pick? Anyone care?
It was over by the hearth, I guess.
So after this man, like kind of mid-30s, approaches 5 mugs in his hands, he steps forward into the area and sets them onto the table for you. Will you all be taking any dinner? Is there anything else that you care for?
Yeah, I could eat. Vanton will say that, looking over towards the others.
Yeah, me too.
Yes, I'll take a stew or something if you have.
I don't really have a stew, but I can prepare some bit of mutton for you. Uh, and he looks across to the other two, and they nod to him kind of silently. See his Bradford pulls out a little coin purse. Um, the man kind of responds, 7 silver should set you right. Could be a good meal for you all. Bradford counts it out, passes it off to him, and he disappears into the back.
Seems a bit odd that there wouldn't be a stew or a soup at a tavern.
I mean, we are here pretty late. Might be that it's just out. Could have been very popular today at the beginning of the day.
So, what's our strategy for finding this dwarf?
Thinking that may be something to discuss once we're a little more private.
More private than the empty tavern? Okay.
Every innkeep I've known has big ears.
I'm thinking he's the one who probably knows where we need to go. It's so rare you ever see a dwarf anywhere.
True. But might be best to get a good night's sleep and get a little lay of the land, so to speak.
My memory serves, this man is from Tribor area. He's actually come down here. He's opened this tavern because he's unfortunately not a good miner. Perhaps him or his wife understands where we might find the dwarf.
Oh, Sharwyn, you know them?
We stopped through here on our way north. We're vaguely aware of them. More so, his family is known in Tribor.
Sharwyn, you mentioned this Tasha's Cauldron earlier. Can you tell us more about that?
There's different texts that refer to the power they used in the old cavern to enchant the items in this land. From what I can tell, there was a hag that was parted of her magic, and in the process, it's hard to tell whether they were alluding to something or speaking of it literally, but it is perhaps what that was used to contain the magic of that cave. It's hard to know in particular. Lord Daggelt is interested in bringing it to Neverwinter to return the city to little higher standing using the ancient power that the humans once brought to that place.
So that's your charge, is to bring that cauldron back with you?
It's my charge to bring the power back. Perhaps it is an actual object, perhaps not. As most well know, Neverwinter is not in the best of standings since Mount Hoteno. And recently, Dagolt has been thrown out of Waterdeep in circumstances out of his control. He intends to fortify his position, solidify his hold over the people of Neverwinter. After about 10 or so minutes of being away, you would see as the barkeep comes back out. He's got a large plate of different food. Doesn't everybody make a perception check for me, actually. Doesn't even seem to look around the room as he steps out of the back after being away for some time, and just approaches the table, setting down the food for you all, and he kind of turns to walk away.
The Venton will thank him. He'll glance towards Ansel and Ezra's like, do you want to ask him now? Or just have our meal? And
Well, I think we can have our meal first, at least. Don't think he's going anywhere.
so at that point, I think Vanton would just start digging into the mutton or drinking the ale. He's it's been a while since he's had a good meal, so
The ale is good.
and the mutton,
Not so much.
like tough, old.
Pretty bland, old, maybe undercooked.
Probably tasted worse in my travels, so.
Yeah, but for 7 silver, expect something decent. At least the ale's good.
Sharwyn, was the food this bad when you came through town before?
I don't often spend too much attention on the food in particular, but I do recall his wife was an accomplished chef.
Maybe she's not here.
But otherwise, you all eat in an eerie silence. You see this man, he seems to just be kind of staring off in your direction, occasionally kind of puffing on his pipe, but otherwise silently kind of staring at your group.
Does he seem to be? Do we get any sense of sort of as he's looking at us? Do we get any sort of sense? Does he look like worried or like he wants to ask us something, or is just kind of
Roll an insight. I mean, you can finish the thought too, like describing it further, but
well, with that roll, it's not really going to matter.
it seems like he's perhaps worried that he failed cooking the mutton. Or at least how bad the mutton is. That's what you imagine he's looking at you for.
Okay. I don't think Vanton would make any effort to hide that he's not enjoying it all that much. But he's not. He wouldn't. Well, he's not going to call it out. He's had worse as a mercenary. He'll probably won't eat as much as he normally would, though. He'd focus more on the ale. And so probably after he finished his first mug, he'd maybe raise his hand to call for a second.
He's not necessarily quick to refill the mugs, but he does come back and grab your mug, return to where he's got the kegs, fill it, come back to you.
As he returns, Vanton might just sort of try to casually ask, like, "There's always this quiet in here."
Pretty quiet town we have here. Don't have a lot of people come through. Seems the miners are not making too much profit of late. Seem to be a little more sparse since the dragon started to fly.
We saw the dragon. This quite put quite a damper on the road, doesn't it?
Hasn't approached the town, has it?
There's been times here and there where it's flown overhead. I don't think we've had any cause that it will land here. Most of the town, I think, still looks empty enough. Destroyed. Not sure what it's hunting, but it seems to go about its way, fill its belly, return to the high peaks.
Since I have you here, you have any sort of weaponsmith in town?
There's a young lady who she's just across the square. The Lion Shield Coster. She's able to manage different things, I believe. If she brings everything in, and might be difficult for her to get her weapons, but I believe she can handle anything if she has them to sell.
I'll have to pay her a visit in the morning then. Thank you.
He's kind of standing there with his hand like stretched out to you.
My guess would be he wants you to pay him.
Yeah, I think Vanton would get that, but I don't know. Given the quality of the mutton, he's not inclined to
For the ale, the one silver, please.
Of course. Van will hand over another silver.
Kind of takes it and he'll walk away.
Vanton will get started on his second ale, looking around at the others. And he'd probably be ready to call it a fair, kind of a early night. He's anxious to get a good night's rest after dealing with those dinosaurs.
Do we want to have a meeting before we go for a rest about the dwarves, or do we want to talk about it tomorrow?
No, I feel like my mind will be clearer in the morning, but you're welcome to ask him any questions.
I think it can wait till tomorrow.
If you all are finished for the evening, I believe Sir Bradford and I will find our own accommodations. Meet up with you after the rise of the sun this next day.
That seems that's surprising. I guess we'll see you tomorrow.
I think court wizards are used to. They may be used to somewhat finer places.
No, like they walk over and they're like getting a room from Toblin, but they're staying like away from you still. They're not like staying in the same room.
Well,
Right.
That seems quite reasonable.
Yeah.
I thought they had another place to go. That was what surprised me. Here we are in this place. So yeah, let's get some sleep and we'll pick up on this dwarf research tomorrow, I guess.
Vanton would look towards Ansel and Ezra and ask if one of them can cover the room for the night. He spent a good chunk of his gold bribing those kobolds back in the back in the cave.
Copy that. So I'll go see about getting us a room.
He has kind of two separate offers. He has a room that the three of you can sleep in for 4 silver, or he can do 2 different rooms for 6 silver.
I'll do the 1 room, 3 people, 4 silver. Thanks, innkeep. And the meal was good. Appreciate it. It's been a long run. It's been a long walk.
You're most welcome. It's my pleasure, and my most wonderful desire to make people happy. Glad you enjoyed yourselves.
Nice job.
Where were you walking from?
We just came south on the Tribor. We were way up. We ran into some orcs up there. Have you seen them? Have they come to town?
I've heard tell of the orcs on the Tribor. Like I said, the Coster has been having some issues getting shipments, and town itself has as well. Many different things have been delayed. You fight the orcs?
Well, I wanted to, but they were an overwhelming force. So we skirted around them. There were too many. There were ogres and orcs, and there's just 5 of us, But we know where they're at. We'll get back there.
It's unfortunate, but perhaps fortunate as well. I do believe that if you can claim their heads, the townmaster will pay for them, actually. Been quite some time since we've received many of our different shipments.
All right. Well, we'll get after that. We have something else to do first, certainly, but we'll get to it.
All in due time, no doubt. Well, what brings you to town here?
We're looking for a couple of guys. I think they may have come through the town.
Advise you may find them among another inn here in town, Sleeping Giant. There's a small group who seems to stay there. It's taken much of my business away from me. You might find them currently staying among their rooms.
These guys we're looking for, in particular, they're not tall. You see anybody like that around?
I don't think they judge people by height there. I think they're a little more open-minded than that.
Fair. We don't either. We're just can't always tell everybody that our friends are dwarves. Sometimes causes trouble.
Oh, dwarves. I believe the old owner at the Sleeping Giant was herself a dwarf. Can't recall the last time I myself saw a dwarf here in town.
She was a dwarf. Is she not the owner anymore?
Can't rightly recall when she left town. I feel maybe it was in the month. Not really sure. I feel like she returned home. I believe her old barkeep took over the inn itself. Don't recall too much though. Usually keep to my own.
All right. Well, that'll give us a place to get started tomorrow. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. He bites down on one of the silver pieces and pockets it.
All right. So is there a key?
Oh, no locks, no locks.
Perfect. All right. Well, we'll see you in the morning.
When you walk over to the door is definitely locked. See, as he kind of like stumbles for a moment, and then he kind of reaches down and grabs something for you and hands you a key.
Are you new here?
Just slip of a thought. Just a mistake. Just had those installed 2 or so days ago.
I think you'd remember that if it was just 2 days ago.
A force of habit from the past, and they're new. Yep, but have a good night's rest.
Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot. So I wave over to the guys, tell them where our room is.
I guess I'll finish off my my second ale and head over. I don't know if we would have heard this exchange about the locks. We,
It's
Benton
silent
was
enough.
sitting.
There's no reason for you all not to hear pretty much everything happening.
Okay, so yeah, Benton would just be curious as to if there's a particular reason why he installed locks 2 days ago, but he's probably gonna leave that question for tomorrow. It would strike him as a thought in his head. But for now, he'll head for the room.
What do you guys? So when we get to the room, I'm going to ask if you guys want to go out to the Sleeping Giant and get a drink, since there might be dwarves over there. Probably won't be over there. It probably won't be open in the morning, right? It's a tavern.
Suppose we could head over for a nightcap.
Yeah,
So
sure.
we'd meet Sharwyn and Bradford here again in the morning.
I was thinking we would invite them along with us. No? I mean, it's a little bit of a lead. It's a little bit of a dwarf lead. Might be interested. Plus, Bradford could probably use another drink. He's an uptight bastard, that one.
I'm thinking he'll want to stay fairly sober. He seems to be quite focused on protecting Sharwyn.
Yeah, well, that's for sure.
I've done a few bodyguard jobs myself. I can somewhat see where he's coming from.
You all still speaking in the dining hall area, or have you gone to your room?
We're in our room having this conversation.
Which one is our room, though? I'm kind of confused.
Is this north one here?
Yeah, I feel like I revealed a single room that you can probably see.
Sorry, we didn't move our tokens.
Oh, there. I didn't look up.
I was in I didn't either. I was in RPG mode. Sorry.
Oh, no. I mean, that's why I asked, is because realistically, most of the time, I don't care to have a map up unless it's actually needed for specific shit. No reason in particular to have this map. That's why I asked in that way.
Yeah, so we're in the room thinking about whether we go over and try to look into this dwarf sighting now, or thinking their bar's probably not open in the morning.
You would have heard him describe it as an inn.
In the Sleeping Giant.
Yep.
Yeah,
like
second in, he was saying he was losing customers to them, so.
And would be looking towards the bed. He's kind of ready to give it a wait and go over there in the morning.
All right. We can bring the unsmiling knight and his magician. It's Agatha's bed, the one in the corner.
Oh, then I'll take the purple one.
One of those near to the door, the red one.
Can we push the fourth bed up against the door?
If there's a lock on our side of the door, Vanton would lock it just out of habit.
No lock on that side. It would be like one way from the actual like inside of the tavern. So this side is just kind of a flat like metal surface. But you can definitely slide the bed into place there.
I feel like he probably wouldn't be that suspicious. It's just kind of like as a habit he likes to lock the door, but he's not. I don't think he'd have reason enough to go that far to move the bed in front yet.
Well, I'm suspicious enough to move the bed in front of the door, if that's movable. Something's making me nervous about this place.
If you all don't have further plans for that evening, you can take long rests and wake up the next day. Would have otherwise seen Sharwyn and Bradford go to the most like northeast room when they turned in.
You're right that my temporary hit points went away with the long rest.
Like after waking up, Vanton would just head back out into the common room.
Ezra would follow him.
Should we go eat at that other place? The other inn? Think the food's any better over there?
We could check.
Might as well just wait here for.
Yeah, I'd probably say when you all kind of come out of your room, you would probably already see Bradford and Lady Sharwyn sitting at one of the tables, kind of just silently there.
Okay, yeah. So we just kind of, Vanton would just sort of head over to join him.
We should definitely join them.
They would kind of just stand when you all come out.
Hey, we got a lead on a dwarf run inn in town. The owner might not be around anymore, but she was a dwarf anyway.
I believe I recall the giant tavern of sorts.
That's right. That's the one. We thought we'd go over there and try to get some breakfast. It's the food here left a little bit to be desired.
Most certainly, we can see about that.
Cool. Let's do it.
So, walking across the town, there's not a whole lot of activity. It still seems quiet. Seem to be many people out and about, but you do see the occasional person kind of walking down the main thoroughfares here and there. But everybody seems kind of quiet and keeping to themselves.
So, Ansel, did he give you directions to this place, or do you need to ask around?
Sharwyn, do you know where it is? He didn't really tell me, and I didn't think to ask. I just figured I'd be able to find it, because I'm usually good at finding stuff.
I believe it's down towards, or up towards the old manor. So we should be safe walking east here. Likely find our way. So when you all step out onto that main thoroughfare, and she just points off to the east for you. It shouldn't be too difficult to follow our noses to the smell of ale.
Perfect. So we all head east towards the manor.
See from the front doors of this place, there seems to be a single entrance, as well as a few windows to the east. Otherwise, you see a pretty calm and empty tavern, couple of tables. There seems to be a staircase into the basement. There's a fire lit in the hearth, and a young woman who's standing behind the bar is kind of leaned up against the staircase. As you all walk in, she kind of waves like a little excitedly, but otherwise seems kind of pleased to see people arriving, and just kind of sends a hello into your general direction.
Morning. We're hoping to get some food.
You serve breakfast in this place.
Yes. Breakfast. Yes, definitely. I can serve you breakfast. Do you want ale?
Well, never too early for ale.
Good. Ale's definitely a good breakfast.
Actually, I'll take a water if you have. Oh, basically anything non-alcoholic.
Granted, I'll give a little
What-
snort.
What do you have for actual food though?
I don't know. Give me a minute and I'll find out.
Is it like everybody's first day at work in this town?
She kind of like walks down.
She was not a dwarf, right?
Not a dwarf, definitely a human.
Nobody really quite knows how to do their job in Phandelver, huh?
I've heard of quiet towns, but well, I suppose it is a bit early.
Makes more sense to me. I was not aware that this place would ever be called an inn. Seems to fit what I expected. Tavern.
I thought maybe I didn't know the definition of inn when I was checking. Because where are the bedrooms if this is an inn?
It's kind of weird that he would call this an inn, actually.
Do you sleep downstairs?
To place your bed in the basement, there's almost assuredly some sort of moisture issue being underground.
I've
And
slept at tables before.
But that's no inn.
Well, it doesn't seem to be food and there doesn't seem to be lodging, so I'd call it a bar or a tavern.
After a few
It's fun.
minutes, she kind of, my bad.
It's just kind of funny that such a small town with no one in it would even need two establishments. Oh, but look, here she comes.
After a few minutes, she kind of starts running up the stairs. She's got like a plate of what appears to be some sort of like jerky. And she like comes forward with this dry meats and basically sets this down on the table for you.
All right, thanks a lot.
Here you are. I don't know how hungry you are, but 5 silver? There's like enough food to feed like 10 people.
All right, I'm going to pay her the 5 silver.
And she will return with 5 mugs of ale and sets them down on the table.
Thank you. We're looking for the owner. Is the owner around?
It's kind of my place now. Krista left a while ago.
Oh, that's too bad. We haven't seen Krista in a while. We're hoping to catch up with her.
You have to know why she left.
Let me have a deception check from you. I feel like she was, I think she got a message from home. I think she, I think she was fleeing from Citadel Adbar, and maybe her dad's the Lord. I can't really remember, but she gave me the bar and she left. It was pretty quickly decided, and I didn't really want to fight it.
Wow, that's quite a story. How long did you work for her before she went home?
I think I've been here for like 2 months.
Wow. 2 months, and she gave you the whole place.
Yeah, I think that's part of being rich. I don't think she cared that much.
And so how's business been?
Business is business, I guess. It's kind of a quiet town. There's not really much going on here.
We've seen as much.
We need more people. It's hard to make money when nobody comes in, but you guys are here.
That we are.
Sorry that we didn't catch your name. I'm Ansel. What's your name?
Kiri!
Kiri. You're very chipper, Kiri. It's a good attitude to have. You're going to be very successful.
Yes.
I used to do a lot of barkeeping in different areas where there were more people, and it's a lot easier to make money when there are people. It's actually gets kind of lonely here because there's not very many people.
We're sort of looking for other kind of dwarves like Crystal. Do you think there are any around, or do they all leave when she left?
I don't remember any other dwarves in Phandalin. They're kind of rare these days. I think you might be in the wrong town if you're looking for dwarves here. Are you all miners? Is that why you came to town? I heard there's a lot of gold in the hills. Have you struck it rich? You have a lot of gold on you?
Sadly, no.
That's unfortunate. How long have you been mining for?
We've actually just arrived, so haven't had a chance to check the mines yet. Any rumors of good spots?
Oh no, it seems kind of dangerous, so I bet there's a lot of good spots out there. The dragon flying overhead, not many people really want to go out on the mountain. She's like pouring another glass of ale, and then just kind of like sets up against the bar and continues to like lean into it while she speaks to you, kind of sipping on her ale.
So how long's the dragon been flying around these parts?
pretty sure it's pretty young, but it's not really been flying around up until the last... I wonder if that's why Grista left.
I don't know. There's a thought.
Well, Crystal's pretty bright. She wouldn't want to hang around if the dragon was going to come to town.
Yeah, that's probably
Any-
pretty...
Sorry, go ahead.
She was just gonna say, yeah, that's probably a pretty good idea. Just kind of like daydreamingly, like, look off, like, slightly beyond you all, but more or less still looking at you.
I imagine that getting rid of that dragon might put some of the townsfolk at ease. Anyone we should talk to about that? Anyone here in town?
Definitely go to the town mayor, but I'm not really sure if she's levied a tax to pay for a dragon. That's kind of an expensive thing to pay for someone to kill a dragon.
That's true. I didn't mean to imply we do it for free.
Sharwyn would kind of rap like 3 times on the table with her knuckle. Just like a noticeable signal of sorts, but what necessarily she's trying to cross over wouldn't necessarily be clear either. All are still somewhat unfamiliar with these two people.
So Vanton would look it over at her. Does she try and get a sense of the look on her face? Does she look mad?
You can roll an insight. She seems troubled. She rapped an odd number of times against the table, and you're able to gather at least enough that the odd is what she was trying to convey. And it was when Kiri mentioned that there was a town master she called she has not levied a tax to pay for the goblin, or to pay for the dragon.
So I think at that Vanton would think maybe lower his voice, sort of, go back to drinking his ale and sort of lean over towards Sharwyn and just kind of like cock an eyebrow. Kind of wondering what she's kind of senses that she's trying to something kind of set her off a little bit, but he's not exactly sure what.
So if you all end up kind of finishing your meal, you would certainly have plenty of extra jerky. You have this girl's attention pretty much the entire time, and eventually she seems to kind of just like rest herself back against like the stairs as she kind of like steps back and is not leaning as like attentively on the bar, but she still seems to be paying attention to you, but otherwise like steps away a little bit.
Okay, so maybe once she stepped away a bit, he sort of like glance again towards Sharwyn and just sort of quietly ask like something something catch your ear.
She doesn't really vocalize anything. But after a moment, she seems to start to twirl a little piece of copper wire inside of her hands, and she starts to kind of like play with it almost like a spring between her 2 fingers before you see like a little bit of a glow across the string, and then inside of your ear you hear a whisper. The mayor has been replaced.
And so Vanton would he'd raise his eyebrows both at the what she said and the fact that she seems to be, I guess, speaking magically to him, and he'd probably sense that she doesn't want to speak it aloud, so just kind of try and give like a small subtle nod to say he heard and he understood, and then
Yeah, even using this spell, it is a near inaudible whisper.
And
okay.
for all of us, or just for Vanton?
Just Vanton.
Yeah, so I'd finish my ale, sort of maybe stuff some of the spare jerky in my pockets, and suggest that once we're done with breakfast, maybe we take our leave.
Yeah, so like ration wise, there's still essentially like 2 rations of jerky in there. And again, a ration is enough to feed one person for 3 meals a day.
Okay. I was just thinking more flavor wise, like just he'd have, he's used to not always having enough food, so he'd like to just like whenever there's extra, he'll take it.
You should take those 2 rations, man. You might get hungry. Kiri, I just have one question. We're getting ready to go. Like, they call this the Sleeping Giant Inn. Is there any lodging? Like, can we stay here? You got rooms?
Oh no, we're a tavern. We're not an inn. Like, this is it. I've got some things down below, but that's all storage.
Copy that. Makes sense. You've been lovely. Thank you for finding us some breakfast. We appreciate it.
Espra whispering to himself, that makes no sense at all.
Maybe we'll come back tonight when things are busier, huh?
Oh yeah, it's I need the money. I'm definitely happy to accept it. So definitely come back. Yep.
All right, we'll see you later. Because we're gonna hit the road now. You guys ready to go?
Where are you all going?
We gotta go find Crystal.
Are you purposefully saying Crystal? Or is that a failure for me to give you the name?
Could be the fact that I think you gave us the name Crystal.
That was Krista.
Oh, sorry, Krista. I wrote it wrong. My fault. I spell corrected it.
Oh, Grista.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Was it
misheard
a
it too.
G? Oh, okay.
No, yep, I was ignoring it the first few times because I didn't think it was you, like, trying to, like, draw it out of her. But that I wanted to make sure because that would have been, you, like, approached her a little bit closer. So she would have definitely noticed if you were trying to say it wrong to prod her.
No, I said we were looking for the owner, and she said, "Oh, Krista was gone," but I misheard it, and then I misspelled it. So I doubled down on my mishearing with my misspelling.
And that's D&D to a T. I write everything when I'm taking notes phonetically. Because that's one of the things I think about life is most people hear names and that's your name. It's not a question of like you're not walking around with a name tag.
Exactly. So I want to wait till we get outside to talk about where we're going. But so we're going to find Krista. That's why we're here. We got to find her. Dude, does nobody in this place know what they're talking about? It's very strange.
Once they get outside, Vanton would go to turn to Sharwyn and like, so what's this about the mayor being replaced?
When we were last here, the people of this town had elected a moneylender, Harbin Wester. And unless she slipped, she referred to the current town master as a female. And I would be curious to know more about this replacement. I understand correctly, they elect a town master for a period of time, but not to be replaced in the middle of a year. I believe a yearly position, elected as a, perhaps not an honor, but a duty of those who live here.
Seems worth checking out if there's been some reason for the mayor being replaced. Perhaps there's something going on we should know about. Ansel, Ezra, any objections?
No, we should head over there and see what's up.
Yeah, I'm all for learning more about what's going on here.
We should be weary in this town at present. I am not sure why things seem so odd. Perhaps it is just the dragon, but perhaps there is more happening here than what seems to be on the surface.
We'll certainly keep our eyes open. I suppose since you've been this way before, I suppose you can point the way to the town master's hall.
Yes, we just have to continue beyond the Stonehill Inn, and it's just to the south. So it's a pretty short walk for you all to make it there. You see a few random people about town. You would start to notice that there does seem to be a group of people who wear different sashes of red tied on different portions of their body that don't actually seem to be doing anything, and they're the only people who are armed in town, and they seem to pay more attention to you as you approach and enter into the townmaster's hall. And that's going to be where we leave it off here.
All right. Would Vanton sort of as a mercenary himself, would he? I mean, I guess he would sense that this is like probably some sort of somewhat organized group of people.
Yeah, it's not going to throw you for necessarily like a loop of any sort, but it will be the type of thing where you recognize on some level that it is some sort of emblem of like membership slash like mercenaries working for this town. But that's probably like the surface of what you would gather.